One of the good things about having a slow, chill day in the hockey world is it allows us to explore topics that we probably wouldn't normally make videos about, but that very much are worthwhile conversations to be having regardless. So, today we're heading back over to the Vancouver Canucks, who are not playing today. They have themselves a little bit of a break. In fact, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but they just had themselves like the fan meet and greet happen at the arena, so that's cool. If anybody was actually there, then hey, let me know in the comments section what that was like. Did you get to meet the players you wanted to meet? And, you know, what did you guys end up doing? Pictures, autographs, conversations, stuff like that. I feel like there's a pretty interesting opportunity here to explore what ended up happening. But today what I wanted to do was talk about some comments made from Vancouver Canucks head coach Rick Tocchet in regards to players that are coming back, players that are new on the team, and what this could all mean for the big picture of this squad heading into the 2024 NHL playoffs. Now, I know that you could very well say, wait a minute, Lego, were you just not all doom and gloom like 2 days ago before they ended up snapping that 4-game losing streak? And yeah, I think that's a very fair way to put it. In fact, even though the Canucks were on that 4-game losing streak, even though they were just looking bad, even though against Seattle they looked lackadaisical, even though they weren't getting results, I think nobody in Vancouver really thought they would pull off in LA, right? Okay, knock on wood, you know, you can never be too careful with the hockey gods, but the LA Kings lost 12 games in 14 total? It was really, really bad. So unless Vancouver goes out there and goes on a 8-game losing streak like the Kings did, I think their playoff odds are going to be fine. So heading into some of the comments made by Rick Tocchet at today's practice, I wanted to go over some of the guys that we have been waiting for updates for, like this. Jeff Patterson went out there and asked Tocchet if either Susi or Joshua would join the main group for practices this week. He said they're both close. It's been 5 weeks for Carson Soucy and 2 weeks for Dakota Joshua, and J-Pat says he believes that both of these players skated before practice today. Now, when it comes to the analyses here, Carson Soucy has been somewhat of an anomaly because he's so in and out of the lineup. He's only played 21 games or whatever, but the team's record when he's in the lineup is staggeringly good. I mean, the record just in general is staggeringly good, but Carson Soucy adds a physical and dynamic presence to that blue line. He's not really going to score too many points, but he makes some great reads in his own zone. Think Ian Cole, but maybe just a tad better and younger. This is a very interesting proposition when Carson Soucy returns, because with the way Noah Juulsen's been playing around, I think he's been such a fantastic acquisition to this team that you can rarely even think about moving him off. We know that Juulsen was supposed to be the guy to come in here and replace those minutes, but now that he's been playing a while, he's actually grown into something very important for this team. So with Hughes, Hronek, Zadorov, Myers, Juulsen, and then that final spot, you kind of have to wonder, okay, are they just going to rotate Cole in and out when Soucy comes back? Maybe get Cole in one game, swap out Juulsen for another game? You know, Mark Friedman is always in there in the background just in case somebody gets injured again, but this D-core is looking pretty good, and that's even without the idea of acquiring a Chris Tanev or a Noah Hanifin or whatever. Just these 7 guys, Hughes, Hronek, Myers, Zadorov, Soucy, Cole, and Juulsen, have been a very, very good unit. And look, it gives the team options, but when options occur, you have to make your choice ultimately. So Rick Tocchet, I do not envy him and the rest of the defensive coaching staff in terms of needing to decide what happens when Soucy comes back, because we know he's very valuable. It's just, where does he displace this D-core? I don't know. Speaking about Dakota Joshua, though, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens when he returns too, mostly because that third line of Blueger, Garland, and whomever else hasn't really been as effective without Joshua on it. I saw some people kind of tossing out the idea, what if you tried a Joshua, Lindholm, and Garland line on the third line when he comes back and move Blueger down to fourth line center, scratch him on, get another winger in there, have PDG and Lafferty in, and then rotate around some of the top guys in the lineup with Arshdeep Bains. That sounds like a really interesting idea too, but of course, I mean, Rick Tocchet has seen results out of that third line, Dakota Joshua, Blueger, and Garland, so once Joshua comes back, I think that seems to be the natural progression of how everything is going to go down. It's just kind of staggering, though. It's been 2 weeks. Joshua left the lineup with the injury against Mackenzie Entwistle with the fight, and ever since then, the team has not really looked the same. They've been winning a few games, but they lost a bunch in a row, and Joshua's presence, that dynamism, that impact, the force of nature that he is on that third line, physical and offensively, it's been missed. It has been, but the Canucks at the end of the day are still one of the top teams in the NHL. Number one, I think. Yeah, they're still straight up number one. Maybe not in points percentage, but in regular points right now. So Dakota Joshua, getting this kind of a guy back is going to be a very, very good thing. I will say, though, it is kind of great to see that he is so close to returning, especially considering that the injury that he sustained was a hand injury when he was fighting the guy. So because of those reports, I was kind of thinking hey, broken, fractured bone, maybe in the finger or whatever, he's got something with his hand. How long does that take to heal? I'm no doctor, but I've never personally had any experience with that kind of medical treatment, so I generally don't really know how long these kinds of things take. So, hey, Dakota Joshua coming back, it sounds like a pretty good update, but of course we need to wait for them to actually start skating again. Heading back over onto that Twitter thread, though, there was a reply from Mighty Quinn asking, JPat, do you think Arshdeep Bains has done enough to stick with the big club when Joshua is back? I prefer him over PDG in the fourth line, personally. He hasn't been winning battles like he did earlier this season. JPat then said, it's early, but listening to Rick Tocchet raving about Arshdeep Bains, I'd say it's pretty likely. And if you wanted to get the bigger quote as to what he said about Bains, this is what Randeep Janda went out there and tweeted. Here's the full quote from Rick Tocchet about Arshdeep Bains' play over the past 3 games with the Canucks. I'm a big fan. I like him a lot, Tocchet said. I think there's another level, and that's when playing in the NHL. He's earned a spot right now, I don't know how long it's going to be, maybe it's the rest of the year, but he's earned a spot, and I know guys enjoy playing with him. I've had a couple of players come up to me individually and say, hey, don't be afraid to throw this guy on my line. So I think that's the ultimate compliment for that kid, that a lot of players want to play with him. But he's also doing the little things, and that I love really good in the forecheck and handle the puck, and he's not scared, he gets inside. And so, with Arshdeep Bains, once you learn that other Canucks players are telling Tocchet, hey, I want to play with that guy, don't be afraid to put him in my line, that instills confidence, not just from the coach or from the fans, but from the actual players themselves, that they see qualities in Bains' game that they like enough to want to experiment and try to get things flowing with him in the game. Sure, he takes a lot of penalties, unfortunately. He's been on the brunt end of a few of them that I think were pretty much his fault. Holding the stick, you can't be doing that, sorry, Bains. But it's kind of indicative of his enthusiasm as a player on the ice. He does have this work ethic that is difficult to match, and he does make smart reads, and he is physical, and he can hit guys, and he can block shots if he's in the right area, and pretty much Arshdeep Bains is proving himself as a very valuable player, especially this early into his NHL career. And Rick Tocchet, with the way he's talking about Bains, it does not seem like Bains is going to be sent down anytime soon. So once Dakota Joshua comes back, you want to talk about maybe swapping out a PDG for Bains and having the lines go as follows with the Pedersen and Hoglander pairing up there. I think earlier at the beginning of the year, Rick Tocchet said something about how he likes duos. That's the strategy, the structure of a team that he likes, 2 guys paired together and a third. And so far, if you think of Pedersen and Hoglander as a duo, you think of Besser and Miller as a duo, you think of Garland and Joshua as a duo, everything kind of makes sense, really. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about Rick Tocchet's comments about, firstly, Arshdeep Bains and his great play as of late, plus the potential returns of Carson Soucy and Dakota Joshua. Let me know your thoughts as to where everything is going to fit into the lineup once everybody is back and everybody is in full swing. What line combinations do you think are the most appropriate? What experiments do you want to see tried out in terms of who plays with whom? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.